Okay, I'm going over my emails from my YouTube show, and I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions today, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. In my office, looking at my email that I'm getting from you guys, where you leave the comments to the videos. I'm getting a lot of comments from the video, how a poor man can buy cheap property, and I decided to go ahead and answer some of this email in this way because I have a long answer to one question, and so let's go to that question. The question is from Scooby Scobe, Mr. Scooby, or Scoby Scobe. Sorry, I butchered your name. First of all, he says I'm full of it. Period. If he means full of information, well, yeah, I do have a lot of information up in my head. Uh, if he means I'm full of something else, then maybe later in the day after another meal. Okay. Anyway, you may not be rich, but you ain't poor either. Period. Okay. I agree with that because I've had many people on this vlog tell me that I'm rich in knowledge and willpower. And what what I think what I think it is just finally getting courage after everything I've been through and challenging life head on in spite of the adversities that we went through. And so that's what's given me the boldness to ask and seek and try new things and live my life the best way I can. Next sentence. If you are poor, how were you able to pay $10,000 in 9 months? Well, I pretty much explained that in the last video, just a recent video I uploaded. Apparently, he didn't see that video, as how I bought a mobile home or a home for $10,000, and I thought I went into pretty good detail. So, with all his questions he's asking, apparently he didn't get the information from the show How a Poor Man Can Buy Cheap Property. Uh, I don't think he was either tracking with the information as I was delivering it. He may have been distracted, but I tried to present it as thorough as I can. But for his sake and for others who come across this, the I'm going to go ahead and try to answer as thoroughly as possible and with clarity the answers to these questions. Now, these are good questions. I enjoy reading these and try to answer them. But he's got so many questions to answer, and there's a lot of details to those questions. That's why I'm doing it in this vlog. So how was I able to come up with $10,000 if I wasn't poor? Well, in the video, How a Poor Man Can Buy Cheap Property, that title encompasses an 8-year span. I started off poor. I had no job. I had zero income. We were living in an old, leaky, rotting travel trailer with my wife and 2 teenage kids. And we were living in the Walmart parking lot, church parking lots, and freak campgrounds. And it was in the midst of living this lifestyle. It was horrible. I ended up having a heart attack, being rushed to the hospital, and having to have open heart surgery. Now, up until that point, I was able to work temporary jobs because I would go to all the temp source agencies and work temp jobs to try to come up with some money because I still had to pay the car insurance and get other things for the family because we were on food stamps and that's all we had. We had zero income. We only had food stamps, but food stamps doesn't pay for dish soap and bath soap and feminine hygiene products. So I was still able to go out and find part-time work while I was looking for full-time work. But that all came to a screeching halt when on Easter Sunday, in the midst of living this way, I ended up having cardiac arrest and open heart surgery. That was a huge blow. So I had to spend 4 years recovering from that. And for 4 years, I was disabled, couldn't do anything. And then there was zero income. But in the first year after recovering from open heart surgery, in that first year, I had the surgery from Easter Sunday till about what month was that? It was September. Some friends of ours who own a farm found us in a free campground and offered for us to park our RV and live in it as long as we needed to get back on our feet. Now we lived there rent free. That's an important part of the story in answering his question. How did I come up with $10,000 in 9 months to pay for this this RV? Well, remember those part-time jobs? I had to pay taxes on those part-time jobs, and then having a family and stuff. So I was able to. Okay, let's start here. I had a car. I owned the title to the car. I had zero debt, so I had no payments going out anywhere. So that part of being homeless and having zero income, it was hard, but I had no bills to meet except for a storage bill. We had put all of our possessions in a storage facility and was paying that every month. That was tough. Sometimes I had to borrow money from a family to be able to meet that and make that that demand every month. But I never went on the street corner and begged. Never. So when answering his question, where I come up with the $10,000 in 9 months to buy the house in which we live in, this was in the 6th year of being poor and homeless. We were poor and homeless, literally living in the streets for about a year. Then we got to be on a farm and living rent free, but still in our RV. And I was able to, after the 4th year, I got skills to be able to go do something with that I could work with my disabilities, and so I went to work in the medical care industry, and that started giving me an income. So that then I was able to. I didn't have any money in savings, so I was still poor, and we were meeting the needs with because I was just starting out, and we were paying the bills that were now coming in because we had electric and I had to be hooked up to phone because I have a pacemaker and my pacemaker has to transmit through this little computer every so often to the data center for them to what they call interrogate the medical device. So I had those expenses I had to meet, plus gas getting to and from work, plus the insurance on the car. But with no money, I went down to the bank, and because I had very low credit, if any credit at all, I was a high credit risk. I went to the bank to borrow money to get this house. This lady who I worked with, her and her husband bought some property, and they wanted to move the house off the property so they can build their dream home. She offered it to me, so I purchased it, and our agreement was I would pay her $3,000 down, which I was able to borrow from the bank. They held my title to my car as security, collateral is what they call it, and then they loaned me the $3,000. I gave that to her. Then I began paying the bank back, and the bank loan was for a 12-month period. And then I was able to pay her $300 a month out of my paycheck for 9 months. Then on the ninth month, when I made the ninth payment, I also got tax refund, and that tax refund is what helped pay the house off. So I socked everything at that as I could, and then paid it off as quickly as possible. It was a real blessing that her and her husband sold me the house for just 10 grand. Now it cost, once I began purchasing a house, after the first month of purchasing the house, I also had to save money to from work, and to be able to come up with $3,500 to pay a company that come in and take the house off the foundation and put axles on it. I had to buy the wheels, the tires, and the axles. There was six of them. No, yeah, there were six of them, because each half of the home had 3 axles. And then there was 2 of the receiver hitches I had to purchase and hire a welder to put those on. And then I had to hire a different company, a moving truck, to come in and hook up to that the both halves. And then they brought it up to the farm where I was living, and we stored it in the field. And there it sat for a couple years while my wife and I were kind of casually looking for property. So that's how I bought the house, and I hope that sufficiently answers your question. If I was poor, how was I able to pay $10,000 in 9 months? So I hope I was satisfactorily answered that question for you. Where did you come up with the money to pay someone to move the mobile home? Okay, I just answered that, so that's cool. But I did have to move the home the second time. When we purchased the property, we moved it again, and that only cost $800 to move. Again, I saved up the money from working, because I'm employed by this time, and I had to be employed to be able to buy the property by this time. So that's how kind of my I'll get to the property in a minute, but I ended up paying this guy $800 to move both halves, $400 a half, and he damaged the trailer or the house when he brought it over. It really ticked me off. That guy's out of business now. He did some damage and walked away from it. I was so mad at him. Anyway, the house is fine. It's setting, and I put it on a foundation. Also, where did you get the money to pay a plumber to hook up your outgoing and incoming plumbing, and how did you get the money to pay an electrician to hook up the power? Simple question. Good question, but I have a simple answer. It cost me nothing. I bought the permits to move the house over. That's one permit. Then I bought a permit to swap this house with the destroyed single wide that was sitting here on the land that was already developed when I purchased the land. So I just cleaned up what was left here and put the new house here. They have in our state, they have a permit you purchase, and that permit covers the relocation of the home to the original site, and it covers the hookup fees for water, sewer, electric, and gas. So simply put, as a homeowner in our state, the homeowner can do all the work himself. So I used the University of YouTube to be able to learn how to do some stuff. I also leaned heavily upon downloads from the Oregon State Builders website that I was able to glean and meet code. So when the code inspector came to sign me off on my occupancy certificate. He had to inspect everything I did, and I passed all the inspections. So that didn't cost me a cent. One thing I did use a plumber on, and that was coming up with some kind of flexible connection between the spigot that was outside that serviced the house itself. My neighbor across the street is a plumber. He has his own company, and as a courtesy, he came over and he did the actual connection to the house, and he didn't charge me anything. So I got that for free. So hopefully that satisfies the other part of your the final part of your questions. Yeah, I was really blessed, number one, to be able to find the property in the first place. Now, this property, we had known the gentleman because we were just living a mile down the road. We had known the gentleman that lived here. He was a single man, and apparently he had passed away. And since the property laid vacant for 4 years with nobody paying taxes on it, and in anywhere, if you have a property that doesn't get taxes paid on it, on the 4th year, the county tax authority comes in and seizes it and then offers it up for sale at a some places they offer it for sale for back taxes. So there was another question in here as how was able to get the property, and pay off the back taxes. And also, well, let me find that question because this will answer his questions. 5 acres with utilities, no way, you sure got. Okay, it's not a nuclear waste dump. It was bare land when the gentleman purchased it originally and had it developed. And okay, I'm looking. Hang with me. Okay, Tony Woodard asks, why didn't you have to pay closing costs, survey, appraisal, back taxes, etc.? Tony Woodard, the survey was already done on the property, and the county actually owned the property at this time. So there was no point in doing another survey because it was all done. And I took my son had bought me a metal detector for my birthday a couple years prior, and I was able to take that metal detector and go out and find all 4 corner pins with the little surveyor tags on each corner of the property, and I was able to put my fence line up exactly on the property line. So that's why. No, and it's really not required here. The closing costs, because I entered into a contract with the county, they sold it as an over-the-counter deed sale. And the property, the original cost of the property, they were selling it. Now, our county, let me back up. Most counties sell it for back taxes. Our county, there was 4 years back taxes owed, and it was like $700-800 per year. But our county sells it for a percentage of the value of the property, which included the back taxes and all their legal fees and courses that they had to take. So they sold it for $60,000. Now the value of the property was $123,000, something like that. No. Well, here, this real estate market is incredibly, it's so overinflated. Right now it's worth $300,000. But I only paid $60,000 is what it was offering up for at the auction, but nobody bid on it at the auction. And the county, with our county, the deal is if the price of the property is over $10,000, you can opt for the county to carry the note on the parcel, and they'll carry it for 20 years with interest. And so you're entering into a contract with them and a promissory note to pay. And so technically, there's no mortgage. You're just making a payment, a promise to pay, and by the deed straight from the county who owns the property outright. Now, I hope this is answering your question. So the only closing cost, there was a closing cost, which was $53. I had to pay the gal who handles these transactions in the county, and the $53 was for her to walk the documents that we signed across the hall to the county clerk's office and pay the filing fee to file it with the county clerks to get it all recorded. And that's the only other fee I had to pay. Was just, I did have to come up with a down payment because I opted for them to carry the note. If it's under $10,000, the cost of the land, then you have to cash out on it. But fortunately, it was over, it was 60,000, but they require 10% down. So again, I went down to the same bank, again, gave them my car title so they can loan me, and this time they loaned me $6,000 because I paid the other one off quickly and I had established a good relationship with them. So they went ahead and loaned me the 6,000. I took that 6,000 down and put the down payment on it, filled out the contracts, submitted it to them. They approved it, and then we started making payments of $486.86 per month for the term of the contract. But I pay more than that because I can afford to, because I want to get the property paid for as quickly as possible. And once we got the settled in, I was still working, and I was able to pay the bank loan off quickly. But since I paid on them for 6 months for the $6,000 down payment, they just gave me the title back and they secured the debt just on my good record alone. So it was no longer a secured debt, and I paid them off. And I just kept using any bonuses I would get from work and any tax refunds. I would just pour that into the debt and get that all cleared off. So now the only debt we have is the mortgage on the house. Now we can also try to get that paid down as quickly as possible and get it paid off. And that was our goal, to get this property paid off before I retire. And I think we can do it. But the house is paid for. I hold the title to the house, and once the property is paid for, the deed will be handed to us, and we'll own that. Was there another part to your question, Tony Woodward? Why didn't you have to pay closing costs, survey, appraisal, back taxes, etc.? I don't know what you meant about the etc., but I hope I was able to explain it thoroughly in this vlog. Let's see if there's any other man, I'm just amazed. I am truly humbled by the response to this video and by the kind comments that people are leaving. There are some who I consider trolls. Now, I want to just close this vlog with this, is I get to review all of my all the comments before they go live. I review every single one. Every once in a while, one will get through. I don't know why it does, but YouTube has given me the power to preview comments before they go live for my other guests to have to look at. So if the comment is totally inappropriate, you know what I mean, they get deleted and they don't get to use my show as a platform for them to demonstrate their hostile, toxic personality. Let's just put it that way. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, hopefully I answered all your questions. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm in my library office. Please stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by clicking that bell icon. That will alert you to new videos as I upload them. And please, you can also subscribe if you haven't already. And upon that, please give me a thumbs up if you will. If you give me a thumbs down, I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. It's still an interaction and engagement. And also, share my videos on your social media platforms. That really helps out this channel greatly. You can follow me on social media. I'm currently uploading to Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit. I'm on Blogger. I'm on Tumblr, LinkedIn, and I'm also on Parler.com. Hey, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.